Caitlin and welcome to my channel. Today's video is actually going to be a type of video format that I have done a couple of times in the past, but I loved doing it so much and have wanted to revisit this specific thing for a while. So I am going to be reading for the length of my screen time. I have two other videos, one that was the first video I ever uploaded, and then another one that I actually uploaded I think around July of last year, and those were both videos where I read for how much screen time that I had that previous week. And something that has actually come to my attention is that my screen time has once again spiked, like very high. 2 weeks ago, I had actually gone on vacation, so my screen time had gone down drastically. However, the week after, last week, I got home and I continuously found myself doom scrolling. And I would even I would realize what I was doing and be like, I should stop doing this, and then continue to do it for another several hours anyway, even though I knew that it wasn't good for me. I knew that I didn't want to be doing it and that I knew I was wasting time, but for some reason I just couldn't stop. So this week I am going to try to remedy that in some way. The biggest way that I generally can get my screen time down is with reading, because I prefer having physical books as opposed to like reading electronically, which I know is not great for my bank account, but I truthfully just love having a physical book so much. And when I'm reading a physical book, then I'm obviously not on my phone, which is the whole point of this video. So before I jump into reading, I kind of wanted to give you a rundown of just how much time I spent on my phone last week. So last week I spent an average of 8 hours and 52 minutes on my phone. That was 96% more than the previous week. And then the specifics of what exactly I was doing on my phone. I spent 31 hours and 40 minutes on social media. I spent 14 hours and 2 minutes on entertainment, and 4 hours and 33 minutes on productivity and finance. My total screen time came to 62 hours and 6 minutes. Obviously, in 1 week, there is literally no way that I could read 62 hours and 6 minutes because I still have a job and I have to get a certain amount of sleep each night to be energized for said job and just the day. So I will be reading for the week average. Now, the last 2 times that I did this challenge, I actually deducted 1 hour off the total time for reading because I either use my phone or another electronic device to edit, or my phone in this type of situation is actually what I use to record. So obviously I'm on my phone at least a little bit, and depending on the total time of footage and such, I would deduct that much out. However, I have decided that I don't want to do that this time. I am going to read for minimum 8 hours and 52 minutes. Now, the irony of me starting this video right now is that I've actually been home for 2 hours, and guess what I was doing for those 2 hours? Doom scrolling. That's right. Again, something that I am not proud of even remotely, but the truth of the matter is, even when I have specific times set out to be reading or literally doing anything but just scrolling on my phone, I will inevitably open up Instagram, open up TikTok, and get lost in it for hours at a time. But there is no time like the present, so I am going to jump right in to get some reading done today. I'm hoping to get in at least an hour of reading today because I do actually have to be somewhere by 3:30, and it is currently almost 2, so minimum 1 hour of reading, hopefully. But before I fully jump into reading, I did want to give you a quick rundown of the book I'm reading and where I am, like how much I have left of it. So the book I'm reading is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. I was actually reading it in my last video as well. I still haven't finished it, which not really proud of, but I am generally more of a slow reader, so it's okay. As of this morning, and according to Goodreads, I am 85% done with this book. I really don't think it will take me an hour to finish 15% of this book, especially because I'm sure some of that percentage is for like acknowledgements and like blank pages at the end, whatever. So I do have my next book already picked out, but I am not going to show you until I finish this one. So without further ado, let's get to reading. All right, so it did not take long at all, but I have officially finished The Summer of Broken Rules. I ended up reading for almost 26 minutes, but specifically 25 minutes and 57 seconds. So now that I am finished with this, finally, I am going to start on my next book, which is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. I don't know a lot about this book. I know that the main character, according to the back anyway, has some like really bad nightmares, and for some reason she decides that becoming vegetarian or no longer eating meat will help with that. I don't know if there will actually be a connection. I'm sure there will be, but I don't know what it is quite yet. In total honesty, the main reason that I even picked out this book in the first place is because one of my favorite actresses, Daisy Edgar Jones, recommended it and said that it was a really good read. So, you know, it's a pretty short read. I think it's just under 200 pages. So if nothing else, I should be able to finish it pretty quickly. As someone who has kind of chosen a lifestyle similar to this, I'm very interested to see how it's gonna tie into all the other aspects of the main character's life, because the back makes it sound like it kind of tears her life apart at the seams. I'm very excited to jump into it, so I guess I'm gonna stop yapping about it and just get right into it. I am about 50 pages into The Vegetarian, and it is a very different vibe than I thought it was going to be. For starters, the main character is actually the woman's husband, or at least most of it is told in his perspective. The only time that we hear from the woman in this story is when we are seeing or reading about her dreams, which are very brutal and gruesome and gory, which is, I think, why she gave up meat. Like I said, I'm not very far into the book right now, but I just read a really difficult scene to read. So I think I'm going to stop here. I also have to head out pretty quickly anyway, so I needed to stop at some point, and I need to take a breath of fresh air, maybe touch some grass after that scene, because it was really intense and honestly a little unpleasant. Just goes to remind me of why I hate men. I have now read for an hour and 12 minutes, which is pretty good. Kind of insane that I only read less than 50 pages for like nearly an hour. I might have dozed off in the middle for at least a little bit. I don't know how long though. I might wait a couple of minutes to start my timer tomorrow when I read, because I really do think that I dozed off for a second, and that's probably why the timer is where it's at right now. But anyway, I might do some reading later tonight, but I have work off tomorrow, so I get to read for the entire day if I want to, and I do want to. So if I don't see you again today, I will see you tomorrow. All right, so it is now the next day, and I did end up reading just a little bit more to kind of even out the time and how much I've actually read in my mind. So I was probably about 5 pages from finishing the first chapter when I left off last night. So when I woke up this morning, I decided that I would just finish the chapter and then I would but then I would start using the timer again. I'm also thinking that I'm wanting to read this while I listen to the audiobook, because I will admit this is a little bit of a harder read for me, and I kind of expressed that yesterday. One, because it's a lot heavier than I really anticipated it being, but also I think the writing is just not really what I'm used to. So I am going to be listening to the audiobook as I read along. It is currently 9 a.m. I got up about 30 minutes ago and finished the chapter, and I do plan and want to go to Barnes & Noble later today. I have a couple of other errands I need to run, so I might do that before I go to Barnes & Noble, depending on when I finish this book. But I do want to go out and read at Barnes & Noble. I also might, take a look around, because I know that Barnes & Noble has a buy one, get one 50% off for romance paperbacks. So might have to indulge in that. But if not, just looking around is always very fun. I don't know realistically how long I want to be out, because part of me is I could stay at Barnes & Noble for hours. But then if I stay at Barnes & Noble for hours, there's a higher likelihood of me spending more money, which is not something that I need to be doing. Do I already know for a fact that there are some things that I want to buy? Yes, of course. Do I know for a fact that I want to look into the buy one, get one 50% off thing? Absolutely. I'm just trying to be a little more thoughtful when it comes to that. I obviously can't guarantee that I will be super frugal when it comes to that, because there's something about a discount at Barnes & Noble that will get me every single time and make me feel like I have to get stuff. But I'm kind of just rambling at this point, and I do really want to finish this book because I'm very interested to see where it'll go. The end of chapter 1 was very confusing. Not confusing. Well, no, confusing. But I don't know, I'm just very interested. But without further ado, I am going to go ahead and get into that. I don't think I will do a montage for this one, because I will probably just be sitting here most of the time, but I will make sure to give you an update before I move on to my next book or before I head out for Barnes & Noble. All right, it is now a couple of hours later, and I have officially finished The Vegetarian by Han Kang. When I say that I just finished this, I mean literally just finished this, just read the last words. And at this point, I really don't know how I'm gonna rate this book on Goodreads, because I honestly don't even have the words really to describe it. I feel like I'm not emotionally intelligent enough to completely even understand everything that happened in this book, but it was good. It was good. So I need to definitely figure out what that rating is going to be. My total time is now at 2 hours and 59 minutes. And the next book, I'm actually kind of still up in the air about. I think I do know which one I want, but I'm gonna kind of walk you through the process that I went through. Part of this video and me picking the specific books that I'm reading is partially because I have read a couple of books already in this season. However, I haven't actually read a lot from my summer TBR. So while part of this video is obviously to read for the full length of my screen time, it's also to actually get into my TBR instead of just picking random books off my shelves, which, don't get me wrong, I will still continue to do throughout this season. I just want to definitely hit a couple of the books on that list that I made because they do genuinely intrigue me. When I had first started this book, I figured that my next book was going to be Blue Sisters by Coco Mellers. I read Cleopatra and Frankenstein a couple of months ago, I think, and it was really good, and I really enjoyed the writing and the characters and the plot, and it just all seemed really good. But it was a bit heavier, and as I read more of my last book, The Vegetarian, I kind of figured that maybe a Coco Mellers book was not the best to follow up after this one, because it was pretty sad, and I am very sure that this one will be sad as well. So I'm gonna put that off for now, and then I figured, well, if I just read a kind of sad book or like a more heavy book, maybe I should read a romance book. And so my first thought was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I actually haven't read an Ali Hazelwood book in like a minute. I know that I like her books, so obviously wanted to pick this up again eventually. But the more I thought about it, I was kind of like, I don't really know if I want to do like a science-y one, and from the cover it kind of looks like it's gonna be that vibe. So again, gonna put this off for now. And the book that I did finally land on is actually Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. It's very cute, very adorable. I'm like 99.9% sure that this is a like fae book. If nothing else, the cover gives that vibe. I don't remember exactly what it's about. Yeah, fairies. And granted, this is me judging a book by its cover, but I'm hoping that this is a more like wholesome book, or that it at least has some wholesome moments. I would think that because of the cover, it can't not be wholesome, but I've been surprised before. So anyway, this is the book that I am planning on reading next. I am very excited for it. It has been on my TBR for a while. I used to just admire it every time that I went to Barnes & Noble because, again, so pretty. But now that I have it, I do want to jump on into it and finally get into this universe, and I am very excited for that. So my next stop is Barnes & Noble, which actually that's technically not true because I have a couple of errands to run before I go to Barnes & Noble, and I'm not really sure how long that will take me. I'm thinking at most an hour, but like minimum 30 minutes. But I will be heading in the direction of Barnes & Noble eventually, so I think the next time I see you, I will be in the cafe at Barnes & Noble. All right, so I am now at Barnes & Noble. I have gotten my drink, which ended up being a vanilla frap, and it's really good. I haven't had a Frappuccino in like so long from Starbucks. It's really nice. I'm very in love with it. I also got a small cup of mac and cheese because I love the mac and cheese from here. It's so good. But yeah, I am about to jump into reading. I do not have my iPad with me to kind of show you how far along I am, so I will be keeping the time on my phone, which, since I'm also filming on my phone, can't obviously have both of those screens out at once, so I will have like screenshots of my total time at the end of each like segmented reading time, and then I'll add everything up at the end of the video. So I'm gonna get into reading, and I will see you when I have an update. All right, so I'm currently in the bathroom. I believe the end time was about 57-ish minutes. I'll make sure to put that on the screen here. But I think I am going to take a quick break and kind of wander around and look at books and such. I low-key caught myself almost falling asleep a couple of times. So depending on if I get another wave of energy or if I'm still just really tired by the time I'm done looking, I might head home and read at home. So obviously I will update you on what I decide, but yeah, That's the current update. So I will see you in just a bit. All right, so I have found the books that I am going to get. I am not going to leave just yet because I decided I do want to stay and read for a little bit longer, but I wanted to show you the books that I am going to get when I do leave. I am going to get Passion Project by London Sperry and One Last Summer by Kate Spencer. They're both on my TBR, so I had already heard of them before, and since there is a discount going on right now, I thought, what a better time than now to get more books. So yeah, I am going to read for as much longer as I really want to, and I think the next time I update you, I will be in the car on the drive home. All right, so I am now officially done with being at Barnes & Noble. I checked out after I finished reading, and the total amount of time that I read at Barnes & Noble was 2 hours and 27 minutes. And I actually might read a little bit more today as well, just like when I get home. And I will definitely be reading more tomorrow because now that I have gotten farther into my book, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, or something along that line. Very excited to continue this book. I am very glad that I ended up picking that one out after The Vegetarian today because, like I said, that book was heavy. And I know I keep using that word, but I don't know how else to describe it without being like, I don't even know what word I'm looking for. Anyways. Point is, I am going to be heading home now. I don't know when exactly I will crack my book back open, but as always, you will be the first to know, and I will see you then. All right, it is now much later at night. It is currently almost 9:30, but like I said earlier, I do want to read a little bit more in my book, so I am going to do that. I think at the very least, I want to read until 10, so like 30-ish, 40-ish minutes. And if I'm at a point in the book where I like don't want to put it down, then I probably will continue to read. The goal is like minimum 30 minutes. I also want to apologize because earlier I had said that I read for 2 hours and 27 minutes, but I had been thinking about when the first time I checked, it was 57 minutes. And the end total time, which I'm sure you saw on the screen when I actually said it in the last clip, was 2 hours and 25 minutes. Not that that's like a big deal, but I just felt that I should clear that up, that I like recognized it later and was like, oh, I totally said that wrong. My bad. Now that I am back home, I am going to continue to use my iPad to track my time. So I will be adding the time from my phone with the time of my iPad later in the video when I eventually reach the like minimum amount of time of nearly 9 hours. I think I said it before, but I'll say it again. I am hoping to get a little bit, if not a lot, over that. But obviously it will depend on how the rest of my week looks and how busy I am and all sorts of other factors. I also probably won't be doing a specific montage of tonight's reading. I'll just give you a quick update before I go to bed. According to Goodreads, as of right now, I am 41% into this book and I'm loving it. I really genuinely am. Like, I'm obsessed with all the characters and the plot and just everything. Like, I'm so happy with myself for picking out this book earlier this morning. I'm so happy. But anyway, it is now almost 9:30 exactly, and I would like to get started on my reading. So I guess I will see you once I'm done reading for tonight. So it is now a little bit past 10, I think 10:09 to be exact, and I am now 53% done with Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. Hold on. I've been reading the wrong book. I've been reading the wrong book. Oh my god. I've been reading the wrong book. Oh, you're kidding. Oh, you're literally joking. No, because I'm mad now. No, because I'm actually mad. Literally, as I was beginning this book, I was like, wow, there are a lot of references to stuff that they're not really explaining. I wonder if they're ever going to explain this, or if they're ever going to really give more insight into this character or this location that they keep acting like I should know about, but I don't. And this is the second book in the series. I'm so irritated with myself. Like, actually, I am so irritated. According to Goodreads, I am 53% done with this book. However, it's also talking about the actual first in the series, the Encyclopedia of Fairies, and not the one that I'm actually reading, The Map of the Other Lands, which means I don't really know where I am in the book. I'm so upset with myself right now. I ended up reading for about 40 minutes. I am now at 3 hours and 39 minutes. I think that at some point tomorrow, hopefully, I will go to Barnes & Noble and get the first book of this series. But either way, I am now pretty close to, if not almost exactly at 6 hours of reading this week, which is pretty awesome, I'd say. I only have like 3 more hours to go before I have completed this challenge. So very excited for that, obviously. I do need to be going to bed soon though, because I do have work tomorrow. So I guess I will give you a full update on what I decide to do reading-wise tomorrow. And hopefully I will be able to take this and just run with it and not be upset with myself and not be embarrassed and not be agitated and be able to continue and finish this challenge, because I've done it before, you know? I've never done this before. This is a new low for me. Like, I literally have to go to bed, because if I keep thinking about this, I'm just gonna get more and more angry. So I will see you tomorrow when I have decided what I am going to do. All right, so it is now officially the next day, and I did end up going to Barnes & Noble after I got off work and getting the actual first book in this series, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I'm sure you could tell yesterday, not only because of my body language, but also because I kept repeating it, but I was really frustrated and upset with myself for the fact that I had just completely missed the fact that I was technically reading the wrong book. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but whenever I get really upset with myself over things like this, when I'm like doing a certain project or trying to work on something, if I get really frustrated, I will generally get to a point where I just completely drop it and leave it alone and don't try again, because I tried once and it didn't work out for me, so maybe it's a sign. But today I am not going to do that, because while it would be so much easier to just give up on this and say that I need to start over because I did it wrong, I think it's so important to be able to recognize mistakes and little minor mishaps and just kind of roll with the punches, which is something that I need to get better at, admittedly. But yeah, it is currently 1 p.m.-ish, a little bit after, and I have about 3.5 hours on my iPad's timer and about 2.5 hours on my phone's timer. So that gets me to 6-ish hours, or almost 6 hours. And I think I will actually be able to finish this challenge today, if not even go a little bit over it. I am going to be listening to the audiobook for this book as well. Because of my mishap, I don't want myself to get caught up on thinking about that. And if I have something talking and like kind of reading along with me, then I think that will help distract me from my frustration with myself. So I'm gonna stop talking now and actually just get into reading, because I am super excited to actually read this series. So yeah. All right, so I found what I think is a pretty good stopping point in my book. I have been reading close to 4 hours now, which is honestly insane. According to Goodreads, I am now 66% done with this book, which honestly feels so good because I truthfully expected to only have like 25% of this read by the end of this challenge, because I thought I would be, like I was kind of talking about earlier, really bummed out still and like thinking about the fact that I had skipped a book too much to the point where I couldn't focus, but that was not the case. And I think the main reason that is because this story is just so captivating and so interesting and so cool, and I love learning about the fairies and stuff. So the total time that I have recorded on this iPad is 6 hours, 54 minutes, and 35 seconds. And when I added that with the total time that I had recorded on my phone, I came up with 9 hours, 20 minutes, and 25 seconds, which well exceeds my original goal of 8 hours and 52 minutes. Every time that I do this challenge, I am reminded of just how much I love reading, because a part of me will always know that, truthfully, but when I get really invested in online content or watching movies or TV shows, or just don't immediately go and grab for a book when I kind of have some downtime, I can forget just how much I love it. And I think this book specifically has really reminded me of that fact, because it's just, I see this being 5 stars in my future, for sure. Since I have not only reached but surpassed my original goal, I think I am going to go ahead and end my video here. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!